Well, can you believe this? We have to talk about death and taxes. Death and taxes, specifically in New York City, or should I say New Yorkastan under Zero Momsdummy. Yeah, because this guy, he's really making it unaffordable for the middle class to actually afford good housing in New York City, or in any of the suburbs of New York, like, let us say, places like Rye, or the place that we're going to be looking at mostly of all, Hicksville. Yes, there actually is a little town in New York City known as Hicksville. Yeah, you'd think it sounds like it came from Alabama, but this one actually comes from New York. And the reason why housing is so unaffordable, because of Momdummy's tax plan, which would definitely hurt the middle class. And as we go along throughout this video, you're going to see exactly what I mean. I guess beginning with this one report here from, I believe it is Fox News, or is it Fox Noise? Much to my surprise and amazement, it is not a Fox News alert. But then again, serious news is not exactly something that is heavy enough for them to consider a Fox Noise alert. So take a look.
Wants to change New York's estate tax. That would hurt middle-class New Yorkers in a huge way. And estate tax is a tax on money or property someone leaves behind when they die. So just think about all those families, middle-class families, they worked hard, they then passed on what they had to their children. Those children get the benefit of all their parents' hard work, and they're going to try to go forward. You know what he wants to do? Well, right now, estates worth less than about $7 million don't pay a New York estate tax. So that means just about everybody. Momdummy wants that number dropped to $750,000. Now, in New York, that may sound like a lot of money, and it is. However, what if they left you a house? Now you're going to pay what? He also wants to raise the rate of how much the state could take from 16% to as much as 50%. That's a lot. Momdummy is looking for help from the state legislature in raising money to close a $5.4 billion budget deficit from fiscal year that begins in July.
So Mayor Momdummy in New York City wants to raise the estate taxes from 60% and lower the number from $7.1 million to $750,000, which, by the way, who do you think this affects? New York City has 123 billionaires. Average age, 67 years old. What do you think a 67-year-old is thinking about? Estate planning, living trust, and guess who else is probably going to be talking to that daddy that's worth $2.8 billion or $6.9 billion? Their kids are saying, Dad, we can't stay here if he's going to want to tax you this way. Number two, who else you think? The financial advisor at Goldman, Morgan, Merrill, whoever it is, going to say, probably not a good idea for you to stay here. And last but not least, the actual companies, the firms, the Goldman, the investment bankers, the bigger companies, are probably going to hold a meeting saying, what are we going to do with these 123 billionaires? That if they stay here and they die, the number we have that we're managing right now is going to split if this passes, of course. For it to pass, he's going to need Hochul, and they're right now feuding back and forth. But the reality of it is, the more language like this is spoken, California barely flinched at a 5% wealth tax, $1 trillion of wealth left. New York City, they're talking about something like this. Where do you think these 67-year-olds going to move? To a city called Palm Beach, Florida. If they flirt with it.
That's West Palm Beach. What they're actually doing is making it unattractive to live and die in New York City. There have already been enough ways to die in New York City, and you would most certainly die under Zero Momsdummy's stupid tax plan. And before you start getting any weird ideas that St. Patrick was an illegal alien just because he was Italian, not Irish, no, he was not an illegal alien. He didn't break into Ireland's borders illegally. He was asked to come to Ireland as a missionary to drive the snakes out of Ireland. So why don't you put that in your pipes and smoke it, you little liberal elves? Or shove another shillelagh up your nose for all I care. That's just something I wanted to point out only because it was still St. Patrick's Day. But we do have to talk about the housing here in New York. I'm not here, I'm in North Carolina, obviously, but we got to talk about the housing situation in New York City because, property taxes through the roof thanks to Momsdummy, who, by the way, did I mention, of course, never worked a day in his life, was just a Nepo baby living off mommy and daddy's money, trying to bullshit himself into thinking that he was just some rap star who made a video, and Mommy and Daddy directed it, and well, of course, that rap career went nowhere. So again, this guy really accomplished nothing, and he wants you to pay for his failures.
$755,000 gets you in Hicksville. And if you don't believe me, this just closed the other day. When I posted the
Hicksville, New York?
tour of this house,
Weird.
even
I
months
would have thought
later,
Hicksville was
I'm
down
still getting
south.
comments about how ridiculous that is. Look,
Yeah,
guys,
symbol shot.
Nassau County, walkable to the train station, close to the highways, for a move-in condition, 4-bedroom house with 3 full bathrooms and a finished basement is a steal. It's not really that common anymore that you can walk into a house.
So says the snake oil
Even if
salesman.
it's not your style, or the rooms are small, or the ceilings are low. It's unusual that you can walk into a house, start living, you have gas heat, you have a finished basement, you have a newer boiler, you have a proper laundry setup, basement's pretty decently clean, large property.
Could put a
corner
bar
lot,
there.
Even got the basement bathroom, updated electric. There's nothing to do here. And that's why this house sold in a weekend. And that's why anything in Nassau under 800 is still flying off the shelf, slow market or not.
What Zoran Mamdani is proposing is insane. It is insane. It's off. It's beyond anything that I thought he would do. The man is crazy. And it's not like, oh, I lean left. Oh, I'm more progressive. Oh, I want higher taxes for wealthier people. It's not that at all. It's off the charts, banana land crazy. Here's the first part, and it's not even the craziest. On the estate tax front, he wants to raise the estate tax on the wealthiest people in New York to up to 50%. Now, I get it. If you're young,
Jesus.
you have no money, you haven't built anything of substance, you might be like, whatever, the rich people can get 50%. That is crazy. This is on money that has already been taxed multiple times. Listen, if you're the kids or grandkids or great-grandkids of somebody who was very wealthy, did you do anything to deserve that money? No. But you know what? Those people earned the right, the prerogative, to do with that money what they want at that point. When you die, it shouldn't just be like, well, they're dead now, so take everything. So no, they didn't do anything to deserve it, but they're more deserving than the state. Here's the craziest part. They want to introduce the new threshold at which the estate tax kicks in, not at $7 million where it was, but at $750,000. That is not a rich person at all. You're taxing the lower middle class person potentially that has a $300,000 house that they paid off in New York and has $450,000 in other assets. That's bananas. That is your run of the freaking mill person. That is not Jeff Bezos. That is not Elon Musk. And this is always the problem with these policy angles. It's like, oh, it won't kick in till $1 billion. Oh, it won't kick in till $100 million. Oh, it won't kick in until 50 million, 10 million. $750,000. The silver lining is that this will never happen. It will never happen. But if it did, the amount of money that would leave New York City would cripple the state.
Don't plan on dying in New York City unless you want to give the man dummy another 50% of your money.
The man dummy.
Talking about taxing you even after you're dead. So let me get this straight. They tax your income, tax your property, tax your business, tax your car, tax your purchases, tax you if you move, and now they want to tax you to death. At what point does this stop? This social media mayor promised that he would tax the rich. You just didn't realize that in his mind, every New Yorker is rich. If you own a small business,
Well, that's because he has a small
your
mind.
whole life and saved a little money, you're rich. If you bought a home and hope to pass something down to your kids, you are rich. That's who these policies actually target. Because the truly wealthy, they just up and move. They move their business, their investments, their tax dollars somewhere else. And then what's left? The middle class stuck carrying the bill for everything. At this rate, just wait. Soon he's going to try and tax every breath you take in New York City. And the irony is that the very people
Every
who
breath
elected him
you
are
take,
the ones who are going to feel it the most.
I'll
Because
be
when those
taxing
policies
you.
drive up costs and push opportunities out the door, everyone pays the price.
Every breath you take, every buck you make, every move you make, every dollar you make, he'll be taxing you. Okay, hope you enjoyed that little bad singing impression there. Then again, I always thought that song was kind of creepy myself. But nevertheless, you now get the idea, don't you? You get the idea that this guy, Zero Momsdummy, would be taxing you until the very day you die and afterward. I mean, there would be nothing left behind for your family, nothing left behind for descendants, nothing. I mean, they wouldn't get anything out of the deal because they'd tax everything you have. They would tax you for everything you own. And then after you die, they would take that tax. So, well, at least Zero Momsdummy would. This is why New Yorkers must vote Zero Momsdummy out of office. But how do they do that? It's not really particularly an election year, is it? Well, it's a midterm election year, but unfortunately, nobody in New York has actually had the cojones to really even challenge Zero Momsdummy in the midterms. So what are you going to do until the day a new candidate comes along and you're willing to have that kind of midterm election to get rid of this guy, or he's recalled or impeached? Well, there's really nothing New Yorkers can do. They're pretty much stuck with this asshole until the day he leaves office, if he leaves office, because some of these guys long overstay their welcome. I mean, we know that Marion Barry was once considered mayor for life in Washington, D.C. Well, thankfully, he's not mayor of D.C. anymore. I think somebody far, far worse than he is in charge of D.C. right now. Yep, and of course that would have to be what's her name? Oh yeah, the hound dog. I just forgot her name. That's all, because her name isn't worth remembering. You know, she ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time about how the people have it so great. But unfortunately, the people are miserable under her, even if crime is dropped. But we're not talking about D.C. That's neither here nor there. We are discussing Zero Momsdummy and his idiot tax plan, which quite frankly would tax you not just to the grave, but beyond the grave. Nothing left behind for any of your loved ones. And I mean absolutely butt fuck nothing. So take that for what it is. And try and have a happy St. Patrick's Day, what's left of the day. And just remember this, wokeness is weakness. And if you enjoyed this channel, which I'm sure you do, well, then, hey, subscribe to this channel by smashing that like button, please. And also, of course, remember that you shouldn't drink the Kool-Aid or the soy because they're nothing but poison. And, of course, as for St. Patrick himself, you feel like St. Patrick, the Pied Piper himself, who is leading the snakes out of Ireland. Well, someone needs to drive this snake out of New York City, and that snake is Zero Momsdummy. Be here or be absolutely nowhere else.